Hey there, welcome to this video. My name is Jan Zuiderduin, founder of LearnSolidWorks.com, and today in this lesson I'm going to show you how to model this beautiful Dragon capsule in SolidWorks. So it will be a lot of fun today, and I'm going to show you many different 3D modeling techniques throughout this lesson, so I'm sure you're going to love it. Also make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video. This will help me to reach more people. Alright guys, without further ado, let's get started by modeling this beautiful capsule. Alright, so we're going to start this lesson by making a new file. So click at File, select New, and we're going to select the part file right here. Now click OK. Alright, so we're going to start this lesson by making the main shape of our capsule. So we're going to draw a couple of sketches and we're later going to revolve those sketches in order to create the main body of our capsule. Now we're going to change the color of our background, so click at Apply Scene and select Plain White. And now we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane in the feature tree and we're going to start this lesson by making a vertical centerline. So select the centerline command and we're going to draw a vertical centerline right here. Alright, now we're also going to apply a smart dimension in order to define the length of this line, and the length of this line will be 4365 millimeters. Now click OK. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to draw a second centerline, and this will be a horizontal centerline somewhere around here. And now we're going to draw a third centerline. This will also be a horizontal centerline from here, roughly up till here. Alright, and now we're going to draw a third horizontal centerline, starting at the vertical centerline up till somewhere around here. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to apply some smart dimensions again. So we're going to make sure that the distance from the origin up till the first horizontal line is 530 millimeters. Now the length of the first horizontal line will be 1800 millimeters. Alright. Now we're going to make sure that the distance between the first and second horizontal line will be 2800 millimeters. And the length of the second horizontal center line will be 1000 millimeters. And the distance between this horizontal center line and the second one will be 660 millimeters. And the length of this horizontal center line will be 650 millimeters. Now, if you look closely to the dimensions, we see everywhere 0.00 behind the dimensions, but we don't need it right now. So therefore, we're going to delete that by going to the System Options, Document Properties. We're going to the Dimensions, and we're going to click at Remove the Trailing Zeros. Now click OK, and this looks better. Alright, now we're going to create a styling spline, so click at Styling Spline, and we're going to draw a line from here up till here. Make sure that the first point is horizontal, so click at Make Horizontal. Now we're going to apply a smart dimension in order to define the length of the center line. And this center line will have a length of 350 millimeters, just like that. Now our spline is fully defined because it's now black. Now we're going to draw a second style spline. So draw a style spline from here up to here. And we're going to make sure that the center line from the first line with the second line is collinear. So click at Make Collinear. And now we're going to make sure that the length of this center line right here will be 300 millimeters. So type in 300 and hit Enter. And now our second style spline is black as well, which means this one is also fully defined. And now we're going to draw a third style spline, starting at this point right here, up till this end point right here. Now hit Escape. Now we're going to make sure that this line and this line will have a tangent relation. So select both lines and click at Tangent. Now we're also going to select those center lines and we're going to make them equal as well in length. Alright. and we're going to move our dimensions a little bit. And now we're going to zoom in on this bottom section right here. And here I'm going to create a 3-point arc, starting at the origin, roughly up till here. Now click OK, and now we're going to draw a second 3-point arc right here. And hit escape again. And now we're going to make sure that those two 3-point arcs have a tangent relation. So click at Make Tangent. We're going to zoom out a little bit. And now you can see that the center point of those arcs is underdefined because I can move it. So we're going to select the center point, hold down your Ctrl key and click at Make Coincident in order to make sure that the origin is attached to the vertical center line. Now we're going to click at Smart Dimensions again, and we're going to make sure that this arc has a radius of 4500 millimeters. Just like that. And this small arc should have a radius of 230 millimeters. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we're going to zoom out a little bit. Now we're going to click at Surfaces and we're going to create a revolved surface. And we're going to use the vertical center line as axis of revolution. And we're going to make sure that the revolve is set to 90 degrees. Now click OK. Alright, we have now created the main shape of our capsule. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this shape right here. And therefore we're first going to draw this surface right here. And then we're going to use two surface lofts in order to create those surfaces right here. And now we're going to create a new sketch on the top plane. So select the top plane, click at Normal Tool, and now we're going to draw a line from here up till the origin and the second line up till here. Now we're going to make sure that both lines have the same length. So select the first line, hold down your Ctrl key, select the second line and click at Make Equal. And the length of those lines will be 2050 millimeters. Now we're going to make sure that the angle between this line and this line right here will be 7.5 degrees. Hit enter. And now we're going to make sure that the angle between those two lines will be 45 degrees. Hit enter again, and now our lines became black, which means they are fully defined. So now we're going to create a split line. So search for the split line command in the search bar. Make sure that the current sketch is selected. The type of split will be a projection, and we're going to select those two faces right here. Now click OK. And now we have created split lines onto those two surfaces right here. Alright, this looks good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and we're going to create another style spline again. And the style spline will start at this point right here, the second point will be right here, and the third point will be horizontal to this point right here. So add a horizontal relation. Now we're going to make sure that the transition between the curve and the center line is tangent. And now we're going to create another center line, starting at the upper point right here, up till here. Now hit escape to close the center line command. And we're going to make sure that the distance between those two lines is 2900 millimeters in the vertical direction. And we're going to make sure that the angle between the vertical center line and this center line right here will be 22 degrees. Now hit enter again. And now we've created another line. Alright, now we're going to create another revolved surface again. Make sure that the line is selected and we're going to change the angle into 90 degrees and we're going to reverse the direction. Now click OK again. Alright, now we've created two surfaces. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new sketch on the top plane. So select the top plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and now we're going to create a new line. So select the line command, we're going to draw a line from here up till the origin and the second line somewhere around here. Now we're going to make sure that both lines have the same length, so we're going to select them both by holding down your Ctrl key and click Make Equal. Now the length of those lines will be 2500 millimeters. So type in 2500, hit enter, and we're going to make sure that the angle between this line and this line will be 15 degrees. And the angle between those two lines right here will be 15 degrees as well. Alright, now we're going to change our display style to shaded with edges again. We're going to click at surfaces and we're going to click at trim surface because we only want to keep this orange part right here. So we're going to select this orange part as trim tool. Now we need to make sure to click at keep selections in order to keep the purple surface. Alright, now we have trimmed the other surfaces away. Now we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and now we're going to draw a horizontal line right here. Click at Smart Dimensions, and we're going to make sure that the distance from the origin up till the horizontal line will be 1665 millimeters. Just like that. Now we're going to click at the Trim Surface again, and we're going to make sure to trim the lower part, this orange section right here, from the surface. So click at Remove Selections and click OK again. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to isolate this newly created surface right here. We're going to click at Sketch. We're going to create a 3D sketch. So click at 3D sketch. And we're going to click at the Align command again. And we're going to draw a line starting at this endpoint right here, up till this corner point right here. Now, we're going to close this sketch. And now we're going to click at Surfaces and we're going to select the lofted surface starting at this edge right here. We're going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to select this newly created 3D sketch right here. This will be our second loft profile. And now we're going to click at the Start End Constraints and make sure that the start constraint is set to tendency to face. Now the arrow is pointing in the wrong direction, so we need to make sure to reverse the direction of the angle by clicking at Reverse Direction. Make sure that the tendency value is set to 1 and click OK. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to click at Exit Isolation. Now we're going to hide our surface revolve right here and we continue with our newly created surface loft. And now click at Delete Face and we're going to delete this face right here and this face right here. So make sure by options that it's set to delete and click OK. Now we're going to create new surface lofts in those empty areas right here. So we're going to select this line right here as our first loft profile. Now we're going to right click Selection Manager. Make sure to select this option right here. And now we're going to select this edge right here and this second edge right here. Now click OK. Now we have selected two edges. And now we're going to make sure that this upper edge right here is our guide curve and make sure it's set to tendency to face. And also make sure that the other two faces are also tendency to face. We're going to adjust the value of the tendency to 0.5 for both surface transitions. And it will look like this. Now click OK. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we're going to create another lofted surface right here. So we're going to select this edge right here. Click at the Selection Manager again. Now we're going to select those two edges right here. Click OK. Now click at Guide Curves again. We're going to select this edge right here again. Make sure it's set to tendency to face. And now we're also going to change those two to tendency to face. And we're going to adjust the value to 0.5 again. And we do the same thing for this one right here. Also set this one to 0.5 and now click OK. Alright, our main shape is already starting to look like the capsule. Now we're going to knit all those faces together. So select knit surface, make sure that cap control is enabled, select merge entities and now click OK. Alright, now we're going to fill this hole right here. So we're going to right click on this edge, select open loop. And now we have selected all those edges. Now we're going to turn off the optimize surface right here. We're going to increase the resolution control for a better preview. Now click at merge result and click OK. Alright, now we've created a surface fill. It still looks a little bit weird, so we're going to adjust it a little bit. So right click and we're going to edit it by clicking at the optimize surface. This looks better. Alright, now we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and now we're going to draw a line from here up till here. Now we're going to click at the offset entities. We're going to select this vertical line right here. We're going to change the distance into 2500 millimeters and we're going to reverse the direction. And now click at cap ends and select lines in order to create a rectangle. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we're going to revolve this rectangle by clicking at the revolved boss base, and we're going to revolve it along the vertical edge. Make sure it's set to 90 degrees and we're going to reverse the direction. What we're now going to do is we're going to solidify our surface by creating a cut with surface. So we're going to select our surface body right here and we're going to use this for a surface cut. Now make sure that the arrow is pointing outward and this is the direction that's going to be cutted. And now click OK. And now we have solidified our model. Now of course there are many other ways to do this, but I wanted to show you this way as well. Alright, so now we've created those surfaces right here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this black surface right here. But if you look closely to the surface, you can see that this surface dives into the model. If you compare it to the white surface right here, you can see that this black surface goes deeper into the model. So in order to make this shape, you're first going to draw a surface revolve right here, and then we're going to create a cut extrude onto this surface revolve in order to create this shape. Now maybe this sounds a little bit fake, but it will all be clear to you in a minute. And after we've created this shape right here, we're also going to create this black edge right here. Alright, now we're going to create a new plane normal to the surface right here. So click at the point, select this face and click OK. And now we're going to create a new sketch on this plane. So we're going to select those edges right here and click at convert entities. Now we're going to close the sketch and we're going to use this sketch in a minute. But first we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane again. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and now I'm going to create a 3-point arc, starting at this point right here, roughly up till here, and make it somewhere around here. Now hit escape. Now we're going to select this line, hold down your Ctrl key and select this line and click at make tangent. Now I'm going to apply a smart dimension. So select this arc right here and we're going to adjust the radius to make sure it's set to 5000 millimeters. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we're going to make sure that the height of this line will be 1200 millimeters in the vertical direction right here. We're going to move this dimension a little bit. And we're going to click at the leaders right here and select this option right here to make the arrow a little bit smaller. Just like that. And now we're going to click at the centerline command. We're going to draw a centerline starting at the origin, somewhere up till here. Now we're going to create another revolve So we're going to select the vertical construction line as our axis of revolution, and now we're going to create a surface revolve right here. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to create an extruded cut, and therefore we're going to use the previous sketch right here. So select the sketch, now click at up to surface, and we're going to select this newly created surface to cut up to this surface right here. Alright, this looks good. Now we can hide our surface right here, and we're also going to hide this plane. And if you're now going to look at our capsule, you can see that we created a beautiful cut right here. Alright, now we're going to create a new plane. So we're going to zoom in a little bit, select this point right here, and select this line right here. Now click OK. And now we're going to select this newly created plane. We're going to create a new 2D sketch. So we're now going to create a horizontal line. So draw a line, click at Make Horizontal. We're going to apply a smart dimension from this line right here up till this point right here. And we're going to make sure that the height between those 2 points is 28 millimeters. Just like that. Now we're going to click at the spline command, and we're going to draw a spline from here up till here. Now right click select. Now hit escape. And now we're going to adjust the shape of our spline a little bit to something like this. Now make sure to add a horizontal relation to the lower spline handle. Now we're also going to move this second spline handle, and we're going to apply a couple of smart dimensions. And we're going to make sure that the angle between this horizontal line and this spline handle right here is 93 degrees. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to make sure that the distance from this point up till this point right here will be 1730 millimeters. Just like that. Now we're going to make sure that the distance from this point up till this point is 2000 millimeters. Hit enter again. And we're going to change the length of this spline handle right here. We're going to make sure this spline handle has a length of 450 millimeters. And we're also going to adjust the length of this spline handle, and this one will be 4500 millimeters. And like I mentioned before, we're going to use those lines in order to create this black edge right here. Now we're going to click at the split line command again. So select the split line in the search bar. Make sure the type of split is set to projection. And we're going to select those faces right here. And those faces we're going to use to project the line on. And here is the result. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we can hide this second plane right here. And this already starting to look pretty nice. Alright, now we're going to create a fillet. We're going to select the variable fillet. So select this edge right here and select this second edge right here. Now we're going to make sure that the first point has a value of 0 millimeters on both sides. And the second point right here will be 30 millimeters. And this last point will also be 30 millimeters. Now we've created a variable radius. And make sure the profile is set to straight transition, and make sure it's set to curvature continuous to create an even better looking fillet. Now click OK. Alright, we just created a beautiful, beautiful fillet. Now we're going to draw another variable fillet, so click the variable fillet again. We're going to select this edge right here and this edge right here. Now change the radius on this point 0 millimeters again, and we're also going to do that for this point right here. And this point right here will be 30 millimeters. This might take a while. And this point right here will also be 30 millimeters. Now hit enter again. Now make sure the profile is set to straight transition again. It has to be curvature continuous, and click OK. Alright, we just created those black holes right here. which by the way are used for the Super Dragon engines, and these engines can be used in an emergency abort to eject from the rocket. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create those 3 holes right here. And these are the Draco thrusters, and they are used for attitude adjustments in orbit. And we're going to use a fun way to create those holes, because you can imagine it will be very hard to create cut extrudes in those directions right here. So instead of that, we're going to create 3 separate bodies, and we're going to move those bodies using the move copy option, and then we're going to subtract those bodies from the main body. So this also might sound a little bit fake, but it will all be clear in a minute. So let's go ahead with our model. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane again. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon. We're going to change our display style to shaded. So we're going to turn off the sketch edges, and we're going to draw a line from this edge right here, up till here, up till here. All right, now we're going to change this into a construction line. So select the line and click it for construction. Now we're going to click at Smart Dimensions. We're going to make sure that the distance between the vertical center line and this edge right here will be 650 millimeters. Now we're going to make sure that the angle between those 2 lines will be 50 degrees. And we're going to make sure that the distance between this point and this point will be 1160 millimeters. Hit enter. We're going to adjust this value a little bit to 640 millimeters. And we're going to make sure that the length of this line right here will be 370 millimeters. Just like that. All right. Now we're going to create another line. So click at the line command, and we're going to draw a second line right here. And we're going to use those lines for the thrusters of our capsule. So we're going to make sure that the distance between this point and this point right here will be 800 millimeters. And the distance between this point and this edge will be 1020 millimeters. All right, now we're going to apply an angle between those 2 lines right here, and the angle will be 13 degrees. We're going to make those lines equal, so click at make equal, give them the same length. And this will fully define our lines. So we're also going to draw one line right here. Now you might be wondering why we're making those lines, but it will all be clear in a minute. We're going to turn the display style back to shaded. Click at Smart Dimensions, and we're going to make sure that the distance between this point and the origin will be 1000 millimeters. Now hit enter. We're going to move those dimensions a little bit, just like that. All right. Now we're going to make sure that the distance between this point and this point will be 1100 millimeters. And the length will be equal to the other line. So click at make equal again by holding down your Ctrl key. Now we're going to make sure that the angle between this line and this line will be 13 degrees. All right, now we've created 3 fully defined lines, and we're going to use those lines for the thrusters of our capsule. So we're going to neatly align our dimensions a little bit for more clarity, and I'm going to close the sketch right now. All right, we're going to turn on our shaded with edges again. We're going to zoom in on a nearly created sketch right here. And now we're going to create a new swept boss base. And therefore we're going to use the circular profile, make sure that the diameter is set to 80 millimeters. And we're going to click at the selection manager, make sure to select the open loop option right here, and we're going to select this edge right here. Click at the options, and we're going to make sure that the merge result is disabled because we want to make a separate body. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to show the sketch right here, because we're going to make a second sweep, and we're going to click at the circular profile again, click at the selection manager, make sure that this option is enabled, and click the second line. Now click OK, and we're going to change the diameter into 80 millimeters again. Click at the options and disable the merge result option again. And we're going to repeat this process for the third booster. So click at swept boss base, click at the circular profile. We're going to select the selection manager, select this line, click OK. Now we're going to change the diameter into 80 millimeters, disable the merge result and click OK. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we're going to hide the sketch right here, so select the hide and click at the eye icon. And now we're going to move our bodies. So click at move copy bodies. We're going to select this body, the second body right here, and the third body right here. Alright, now we can drag to this arrow right here in order to move them. We're going to make sure to move them in the Z direction. We're going to type in the value of minus 2320 millimeter. Make sure that the copy is disabled, so deselect the copy option. And now we have moved our thrusters outside our model. Now we're going to click at the move copy bodies again. So we're going to select the first body. We're going to change the X direction into minus 60, and we're going to make sure that the Z direction is set to 1080 millimeters and click OK. Alright, now our body is intersecting with the main body, so we're going to click at move bodies again. We're going to select this body again. We need to rotate it, so we're going to click at the rotation box and we're going to make sure to rotate it minus 15 degrees in the X direction right here. Now it has to fully intersect with the model, so we're going to adjust it a little bit. And we're going to make sure that the X rotation is set to minus 20 degrees. Now click OK. And now we have rotated our body right here. This looks good. Now we're going to create another move copy. So click at the move copy options feature again. We're going to move this body right here. Make sure that the translation is set to 50 millimeters in the X direction and to 925 millimeters in the Z direction and click OK again. Now we're going to click at the move copy feature again. We're going to select this body. We're going to click at the rotate option right here. And we're going to rotate this body 5 degrees in the Y direction and 10 degrees in the Z direction and click OK. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to click at the move copies again, and we're going to move our third body right here. Click at the translate box again. And we're going to make sure to set the X direction to 900 millimeters. Oops, this has to be 0 millimeters. We need to adjust the Z direction right here. Make sure that the Z direction is set to 900 millimeters and click OK. Alright, now we're going to click at the move copies body again in order to rotate this last model. So we're going to select this body, click at the rotate box right here, and we're going to rotate this body minus 10 degrees in the Z direction and click OK. Alright, we've now created 3 separate bodies. Now we're going to subtract these bodies from the main body. So we're going to search for the combine feature right here. Make sure that the operation type is set to subtract. The main body will be the green body right here, and the bodies to combine will be those 3 bodies right here. Now click OK, and now we have created 3 strange looking holes, which will be the thrusters of our Dragon capsule. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create those 3 windows right here, as well as this hatch right here. And in order to create this, we're going to use split lines, and we're going to project those split lines onto those surfaces right here. And then we're going to change the appearance of those windows and through hatch right here. Alright, now we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane again. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and we're going to create an ellipse starting at the midpoint right here up till here, just like that. And we're going to make sure that those 2 points with the midpoint are all horizontal. Now we're going to apply a smart dimension. And we're going to make sure that the distance from this point up till this point will be 520 millimeters, and the distance from this point up till this point will be 320 millimeters. We're going to move this dimension a little bit, and we're going to make sure that the distance from the midpoint up till the origin will be 2150 millimeters. Now hit enter again. Now click at the line command. We're going to draw a horizontal line right here, second line right here, and a third horizontal line right here. And we're going to make sure that the distance between those 2 lines will be 1000 millimeters. And the angle between those 2 lines right here will be 85 millimeters. Now we're going to make sure that this point and the midpoint will be horizontal. And as you can see, this will be the door of our capsule. So we're going to make sure that the horizontal upper line right here will have a length of 360 millimeters. And we're going to move our dimensions a little bit. And now we have fully defined the shape of our door. So now we're going to apply some sketch fillets, and we're going to make sure that the radius is set to 200 millimeters. Now select this corner, click OK. And now we're going to select the second corner, which will be 180 millimeters. Select yes, and click OK again. Alright, now we're going to close the sketch fillet command, and now we're going to click at extruded surface. So select the surface extrude, make sure that the depth is set to 2000 millimeters. Make sure to reverse the direction and click OK. Alright, we now created a surface extrude through our body. Now we're going to click at the Move Bodies again. So open the Move Copy Bodies feature. We're going to clear the selections, and we're going to make sure to select this surface body right here. Click at Rotate, and we're going to select this line right here. Now we're going to copy and rotate the surface body right here in order to create a second window. Alright, this looks good. Now we're going to create split lines, and this time we're going to use an intersection split line. So click at the split line command. The type of split will be the intersection. We're going to select those bodies right here, as well as this body right here. And now we're going to select this line right here in order to create the split lines. So now click OK, and now we have created split lines on the edges between those bodies. Now we can hide our help bodies, so we're going to hide the surface extrude 1 and the last body right here. And now we've created beautiful split lines onto our surface. Alright, now we're going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, and now we're going to draw a line around our windows. So click at the offset entities, and we're going to select this window right here. Make sure that the offset distance is set to 20 millimeters. And now click OK. We're also going to select this edge right here. And now we're going to select the edges of our window by right clicking, click at select tendency. We're going to make sure that the offset distance is set to 10 millimeters. We're going to reverse the direction and click OK. Alright, now we're going to create a split line onto this surface right here. So we're going to select the split line command in the search bar. We're going to select this face, this face, this face, and this face right here. And now click OK. Now, if you now look closely, you can see that one of our windows is not fully intersecting with the surface. So we need to move this window a little bit. So therefore, I'm going to select my body right here. We're going to edit it. We're going to update the decrease from 30 to 29.5 degrees, I guess. Now click OK. Yes, and now our edge is fully onto this surface right here. All right, this looks good. Now we're going to apply a new color to this part. So select the apply color. We're going to select the matte steel. We're going to make it a little bit darker. Just like that. All right. This looks good. Now we're going to make sure to hide the sketch right here. All right, this looks nice. Now we're going to select this face right here and we're going to adjust it a little bit because we're going to make this one cream satin finish plastic. We're also going to select this face right here, this face, this face, this face, this face, this nose cone, this face right here, and the face of our door. And now click OK. So the color of our main body is still black, but now we have applied a couple of colors to certain faces. Alright, now we're going to mirror this body right here. We're going to select this blue surface as mirror surface and click at bodies to mirror. Make sure that merge is enabled and click OK. Alright, we now have created a half capsule. This looks pretty good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another mirror. So we're going to select this face right here. Make sure to select the bodies to mirror option again. Make sure that merge solid is enabled and click OK again. Alright, and we now created the main body of our capsule. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we're going to edit the sketch a little bit because I want to change one thing, because this Windows edge right here has to be inward. So I'm going to change the offset distance into -20. And now we're going to select this face. We're going to copy the appearances. We're going to select those two faces right here and we're going to paste those appearances onto those faces. All right. Now we're going to change the appearances of our windows. So we're going to select those windows, click at change transparency. And we're going to do the same thing for those windows right here. So select those three window surfaces, right click, click at change transparency. All right. Now we can look into our capsule. All right, this looks good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this edge right here. And this will be the edge of our nose cone, because this nose cone can open in reality. And in some versions of the Dragon there is a docking hatch behind this nose cone. And in some versions there is a big observation window right here. So we're going to create a new sketch on the right plane. Select normal tool. And now we're going to draw a new straight line. So we're going to click at the centerline command and we're going to draw a center line from the top point up till here and a horizontal center line right here. Now we're going to click at the smart dimension and we're going to make sure that the length of this vertical center line will be 1035 millimeters. Just like that. Now we're going to create a new midpoint line. So select the midpoint line command. We're going to select this midpoint and we're going to draw a line. Now click at Smart Dimensions and we're going to make sure that the length of this line will be 3000 millimeters. And we're going to make sure that the angle between this line and the horizontal center line will be 10.75 degrees. This looks good. Now we're going to click at the extruded cut option right here. We're going to change the direction 1 into true all in both directions. We're going to make sure to select the thin feature, that the thickness is set to 10 millimeters. Now click at all bodies, click OK. Alright, this is good. Only our appearances are now a little bit weird. So click at copy appearances. So we're going to select each of those faces and click at paste appearances. We're going to do the same thing for those lines right here. And we're also going to paste our material to those faces right here in order to fix this. Alright, this looks pretty good. Alright guys, we just completed our Dragon capsule. Now I hope you liked this video. Leave a comment for me in the comment box below because I would love to hear from you and I hope to talk to you soon. Now if you're interested into more tutorials, maybe more beginner tutorials or more advanced tutorials, you can go to learnsolidworks.com and there you can find many more SolidWorks product modeling tutorials. Thanks for watching and I'll talk to you soon.